Hi, everybody. Jean Humbrecht with Humbrecht Law, criminal and traffic defense attorney in Manassas, Virginia. Welcome to my weekly Facebook Live local business spotlight. Today, I have a very special guest, my friend Sara Alepin, who wears many hats, but today she's just wearing one, I think. So Sara is the founder of, I believe, Photos from the Hardy, the owner of photographer, and also has an amazing podcast, which if you've seen a previous episode, Laughing with Gingers, it is absolutely hilarious. We were laughing the whole time. And she also is the founder of District Bliss, which is a networking and professional development organization, which is what she's here to talk to us about today. So if you all don't know what District Bliss is, District Bliss is a community of creatives and business owners who want to expand their networks quickly, build their businesses with ease, and just find their people. They host socials that take the work out of networking and workshops taught by leading experts to get you on the road to success without the stress, which is true because I've been to those workshops. So, Sara, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and whatever else you want to add about District Bliss, and then we'll start talking about networking.
Yeah. First, thank you, Jean, for having me. It's always so lovely to see your face. And I love that you do these amazing events to support local business owners.
Well, I love having awesome local business owners like you, so it makes it easy.
Well, thanks. So as Jean said, District Bliss is a networking and professional development organization. And our goal is to really make it fun, easy, and successful to build business. And I think, even in this virtual world that we are currently living in, and hopefully not for too much longer, we still are able to embody that in-person vibe. So we have this lovely community of which Jean is a member, and we bring people together, even though we're a little virtual at the moment.
And I actually first found out about District Bliss during COVID. So it was a very long time before I actually met Sara in real life. There were tons of people might think, how do you network in this world of everything being online? So maybe that's what we should talk about first, because networking right now is different than the way it used to be. So do you want to tell everybody about all the things that District Bliss has done since COVID and we're not able to meet in person?
Sure. So that's actually been one of the good things for, there are lots of silver linings. I'm a silver linings kind of person. And one of those amazing silver linings is that we have been able to bring together the different chapters that we have. So our LA chapter, Jean has gotten to know, as well as our DC chapter. And we have, our Texas people. And so that's been one of the awesome silver linings. But in terms of networking, it is different because you're sitting in a chair, you're not leaving whatever space you're working or living in necessarily, but you are able to attend an event. And kind of the sweet spot that we've found is helping people to introduce themselves into the space and then breaking everyone into small groups. So that way, everyone kind of already has an idea of who they're meeting, but they get to have more in-depth conversations once they get into those smaller breakout rooms. So it kind of takes a little bit of that. It's more like if your friend introduced you to someone else at a networking event. And I found that to be the most successful way to foster quality connections within the networking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it does sound a little odd when you first think about it, the breakout rooms and how are you going to talk to strangers. But it's when you do it the first time, it makes sense. You have fun. It's like meeting it's just as awkward as meeting in person. And then sometimes these groups do icebreaker questions. One of the recent ones I heard was, what's the worst Christmas gift you've ever given or worst gift you've ever given or received? And we were laughing hysterically with that one. Mine was, well, I'm not gonna say, because I don't know.
I want to know. I just give me an example of somebody else.
Okay. Hypothetically, something that the worst gift somebody would have gotten was a re-gifted gift at their wedding. And the person hypothetically would have known this because the person who gave the gift left the original card in the box.
Oh no. Oh man. That's pretty bad.
And I'm pretty sure that that gift was not on the registry either. So
oh, that's pretty bad.
But anyway, yeah. So that was the worst gift that person had ever received.
That is a bad one. That's a really interesting one. I'm not normally like a great that's actually one of the things we don't do that much at District Bliss, because I just by nature am not like it's always really hard for me to come up with an answer to those icebreaker questions.
Yeah.
So I feel really awkward making other people do it. Like when you just said that, I was like, what bad gifts have I ever received? And I was like trying to go back through my memory and I can't think of any.
You would after the event was over though.
Yeah, I'm sure I would after the event was over. But, you know, we've been asked things. One of the ones I really liked was what cooking utensil would you be? Like what kitchen utensil? And I was like, oh, I would be a baking spatula.
You would be a what?
A baking spatula.
Okay. All right. For all of you that don't know Sara, she has very interesting reasons for why she is different things, like what her spirit animal is and all this stuff. So why would you be a baking spatula?
Because I'm always kind of like bringing everything together and mixing.
Or is it like a blender or like a whisk?
Yeah. So the one that like scrapes the sides and makes sure nothing gets left behind.
Oh, that's cute.
Shout out to Dee Dee Kai for that question. Actually, I know you know her too.
I do know her. I know Dee Dee from DC Fempreneur, and that is how Sara and I actually met. Sara, District Bliss is a member of DC Fempreneur, and at one of the first events, or one of the first COVID events, as I call them, that I went to, Sara was there. We were doing, what was it, like a virtual networking or a virtual happy hour type thing?
It could have been a virtual networking event, or we do virtual co-working too.
Right, yeah, co-working. Okay. Yeah, so that's how I first met Sara and heard about District Bliss. So that's an example of how, you know, networking can be like 6 degrees of separation. And like I've met people through Sara and through District Bliss.
And it's great. You know, for me, the virtual aspect has been really fun because it actually means that I have more time to spend with people, even though it's virtual. You know, like I'm not driving somewhere in traffic and I'm not like orchestrating feeding the dog and all of that stuff in the same way. Because if I need to run down and feed the dog right now, I can be like, hang on, Jean, I'll be right back in the middle of the live.
She would do that too in the middle of the live. I know that.
I would probably take you with me.
Yeah. And when I was thinking about this live earlier, I thought, do I need to preface and tell people that we are not going to edit this because Sara doesn't edit her podcast and I don't edit my lives because I don't have time. So whatever happens, happens, and it's not going anywhere.
Yes. And I totally, you know, like for me, for both of my podcasts are live to tape. And one of the reasons is, you know, I think in order to have like authentic connection for me, I am just going to be myself, you know, and I don't want to rely on that, like being able to take it back or to be able to change something. So I'm a roll with the punches kind of girl, and that's you know, that's how I've always been. And I think that is one of the reasons that it is our online presence is very personal, relatable, and feels authentic because you get that like vibe of, you know, you are seeing all of the things as they are. You know, you can ask embarrassing questions, and that's okay. You know, there are no bad questions. There are no dumb questions.
Sara says that because I always ask a million questions.
I love your questions. And I'm not the only one. A lot of our speakers, so after, if we host workshops too, and we do those online, and they have a little bit of a networking element. But when we host workshops, Jean asks really like interesting questions afterward. And a lot of our speakers have actually given me feedback that they built out their presentations further after having our event because you asked such thought-provoking questions.
Oh, wow. That's the nicest thing I've heard all day. Probably all week.
Sometimes we forget to tell people that good stuff, you know?
Yes, we do. But I want to make sure that you know that I enjoy all of your events. The professional development events, networking events are always a really good time. And Sara is just hilarious, if you guys couldn't already tell. And one thing that I forgot, I've been doing these, like, can you believe I've been doing this for 9 months?
Wow.
I know, right? And I think if anybody's who's watching has watched any of them before, I'm most myself and have the most fun when Sara's on. So Sara, you need to come on more often. And I'm trying to get on her podcast, by the way, which is not what we're talking about. Her podcast is hilarious, and we're going to talk about first world problems. And I thought of one today, and I thought of you, and now I can't remember what it was.
Well, you can't tell me beforehand anyway.
It was something about masks and COVID.
You'll think of it as soon as we end this.
I know, or I'll interrupt you in the middle of a sentence and remember it. But anyway, where I was going with this ridiculously long, like tangent, I've been doing this for 9 months, and I still forget to tell people to say where you're checking in from, so we know who's watching, because we're using StreamYard, and I don't know how to tell on StreamYard who's out there. So let us know where you're watching from, and if you have any questions for Sara about networking. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is networking in the right places, because if everybody watching has ever networked before or been to any networking event, and I'm outside Uptown Alley and I see people I know from networking, and that's who I'm waving to. So anyway, and by the way, we are in Virginia. And it is December 23rd. Happy Festivus. And I'm sitting outside without a coat on. So if you see me going like this, I am chilly. But the reason, first world problems, the internet's not working in my office, and I'm having a Festivus party later. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to Uptown Alley and use their internet. But it's too loud inside, so I have to sit outside.
Oh, man. Is it as cold outside as it has been all week?
It's actually not too bad right now. Otherwise, I would be inside and you would be hearing bowling. So
yeah, that's totally understandable. I completely get on board with that.
But networking in the right places, because, let's tell everybody a little bit about what District Bliss is. I forgot to mention this because when I first heard about it, I was a little bit confused because Sara is a photographer, does a lot of weddings, obviously, and I thought that District Bliss was a community just for people in the wedding industry, which it is not. So can you tell everybody like a little bit about what it is?
Sure. So we support all entrepreneurs from whatever type of, field that you're in. We started out in the wedding field because when I was attending networking events, I was getting I needed to bring on a team, and I was getting a lot of people who just felt like instead of viewing the relationship as collaborative, they were seeing, oh, you're a photographer, you're my competition, I'm not interested in having conversation. Meanwhile, I'm like, well, I need to always have a second shooter with me. I always need I need to contract out, I need referral partners so that I can, if I can't take the client or it's not my ideal fit, I need to refer them out. But I wasn't getting a lot of that collaborative energy. So that's one of the reasons that I founded District Bliss, because I wanted to break that system. And then we initially were, sorry, I have a hair stuck to my eyelash. We initially were focused on the wedding industry because that was what I was focused on for my business. But then we started getting requests for people who were outside of the wedding industry to attend our events because they had heard from friends or whoever that they really liked them. And so we were like, well, yeah, like this can be anybody, like anyone who's an entrepreneur can benefit from this. So we opened it up, as all of you watching probably know, Jean is an attorney. And she's part of District Bliss. So it's anyone who really wants to find people to build their business with ease, comfort, support, and just in general, like enjoy the process of building the business. Take all that hard work and stress out of it, and a lot of the mistakes that we make along the way as we build the business. It kind of prevents some of those, like, oh shoot, I didn't realize SteamYard did this or whatever. It helps you, right? So that's how we ended up branching out of the wedding field, and now I would say only probably about maybe 10% of our membership is wedding industry folks.
Wow. Yeah, I guess that's true, because the events that I've been to, there's everybody from all sorts of different industries. So, and everybody at all the events is really awesome. It's a really good community. So in terms of like joining you talked, what makes your community different is, I think, the caliber of events that you have available to the members. Every group that you go to, everybody's just a different group of people. But my experience with District Bliss is everybody is really nice and helpful, and it's never awkward or weird. And I don't know if that's just because I'm an extrovert, but I've always had a great time. So in terms of like finding the right group, obviously that sounds like the right group, to be able to build your business with comfort and ease, and then have those opportunities that you had mentioned. But in terms of finding the right group, like what would you suggest to people? Because there are a million different networking groups.
Yes, there are. And there are a million different types of events. I think, one of the most obvious visual things, let's say you go onto an event page, is going to be the branding, if the branding speaks to you, because branding isn't just like your logo or whatever. It's essentially what people say about your business when you're not around. And in the past, when I've joined, because I'm a member of multiple networking organizations outside of District Bliss, I think first of all, that's very important. You're not going to get everything you need from one organization. So it's really important to look into multiple organizations. Don't just stop once you get into one, because what happens is either they can stagnate, or you're getting some of the same speakers rotated through, some of the same content. And if the community isn't growing, then you aren't getting a continued mix. So that's another really important thing. We have our regular attendees, but then we also constantly have a new mix of people who are coming in. And that's really important too, because if you're looking to expand and grow, you're not going to get all the same things from the same people. It's good to have multiple resources. So, as you go to an event page, if the branding doesn't speak to you, if the images you're looking at don't speak to you, that might not be a great fit. I would put it in the maybe pile unless it really doesn't speak to you. I know I've looked at organizations and I'm like, these people, I don't think they're my people. Like they don't seem like they're open and warm, and that's important to me. So identify, what those things are that are important to you within the organization, what is important to you within with the people, in terms of networking. And this is putting business resources to the side, but because different networking have different resources. But if you feel like it might be a fit, attend an event, just try it out. The worst thing that happens is you waste an hour of your time, but then it's off your plate. You know that it's not a great fit, or that it might be. And there's no shame in just attending and seeing how it goes. even if you can only go for a short period of time, I think it's always worth it to get out there and push yourself to try those new things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is looking at the resources and the benefits. So
Mm-hmm.
if they have continued education in some capacity or continued resources in some capacity that are actually at your level of business, because you might have like how to set up your accounts or something. Like, well, if you have been in business for 10 years, you don't need to know about setting up your bank account with your EIN or applying for an EIN. So make sure that it's hitting at the right level. And that may mean that sometimes you graduate out of a networking organization and then maybe return to it later if they, get to that point. But there's also no shame in that either. It's no, it doesn't devalue the connections that you've made, even if you leave that organization at some point, because sometimes you need different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you made a lot of really good points. Like you mentioned going to a group and just checking it out, and at worst you waste like an hour and a half of your time. I wouldn't even say you wasted an hour and a half for two reasons. One, you know that it's not for you. And two, you've probably met at least one person there that you have some sort of connection with, whether it's a friend, whether it's like an acquaintance, whether it's a referral partner, a client. I mean, like you never know. Like I've always like benefited in some way from every event that I've gone to, but some more than others. Like am I going to continue to pay to be in an organization or all of them? No, but I've gotten something out of it. So it's definitely I would say definitely not a waste to at least check it out once, because you got to find the right group, and paying to be in several different groups really adds up. So
it does, yeah. And I think that's why it's important to try out different events, because if you're looking at an organization, and obviously know your budget, because that's an important part of business. But if you're looking at an organization that's not very expensive, but they have one event per month that's going to be applicable to you, then that's not going to be the same as someone who has, that's more expensive, but there are 15 events per month where you're going to get insane value, and it's going to save you time and make you money. I think that's an important thing to factor in as well, because a lot of times look at.
I might have to move, Sarah. Finish your sentence.
Totally fine. You might have. I totally lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Oh, well, you said it's worth the money to possibly join a group that's more expensive but adds more value and has more events every month than something that's cheaper but has like one event every month.
Yeah. So keep in mind that you want to get your ROI. So if you're only getting one event per month and you're paying even if you're only paying $10 a month and you're only getting one event, whereas you might be paying $20 a month and getting these insanely valuable events, that's something to consider. So, and variety of events too. If we're, I'm very aware that you probably are getting cold and distracted with what's going on around you.
It's okay. It's a good thing I said that you were not editing, because so.
I mean, it is what it is. We're just doing the best we can.
And the way that Sarah and I talk is the way that we talk like when we are just by ourselves and not live on Facebook in front of how many people. It's actually we actually have laughed less on this than anything else.
That's
true. I think it's just because I'm cold. I'm like, all right, let's get to it. But it's okay. It builds character. Let's keep going. What else?
So yeah, I think, I think if I could just impart one thing is try different stuff out, try different events, even if it seems like it might not be fun for the virtual networking. Like a lot of people have come to me and said oh, I'm not really into the virtual networking thing. I get it. I'm an extrovert.
It sounds kind of weird. But it's really not. Like when you go to one event, like you see, it's not as weird as it sounds like it's going to be.
Yeah. And I make sure specifically for our events that they're welcoming, warm, and that people feel like they're part of our community, even if they're not a member of District Bliss. It's really important to me that everyone feels included and that everyone's excited to meet you. And, you know, even if it's the only event you ever come to, it's really important that people feel like they showed up for a reason and that they're glad they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. One time when I logged on at one of Sarah's events a few minutes late, and then as soon as like the Zoom, you know, went doo doo, and then I got into the room, Sarah goes, "Oh, Jean's here, yay!" And I was like, "Oh." I don't remember which event that was, but
I don't remember either, but I bet it was a networking event.
it was one of your Tuesday afternoon, like webinar type professional development things, I think.
Oh, interesting. So I must not have, I must have still been the one talking at that point.
Yeah, because you said, "Hey, Jean's here."
Well, it's how I felt.
Yeah. I'm like, "Oh no, everybody's looking at me. I can't eat my food. I have to leave my camera on." Oh, and that's, you know what? That's another first world problem, not being able to eat at a networking event, because when you're in person, you can eat. And when you're on camera, you're free to eat in front of people, right?
I know. And you always fall during that time when you want to be eating. I don't know why that happens, because in one of my communities, they tease me and call me Brad Pitt, because during the Ocean series, like Ocean 11, Ocean 12, and Ocean 13 or whatever, Brad Pitt is eating in every scene, which I never noticed. But I guess I'm constantly eating during one of my community calls, and I'm like turning camera off to eat. Back in a couple minutes, like still here though.
But you know what's funny about the Brad Pitt scene? Apparently in one of the movies, he's eating like a bowl of cereal, but then like when the camera flashes away and in the same scene it flashes back and he's eating something else. So they were like clearly took a break in filming and didn't realize that he was eating cereal the first time.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not a fan of the movies, but I know a lot of movie trivia.
That is so fascinating. I never really like thought about it. I've seen those movies like on TV. I haven't actually ever like sat down and watched them. So I don't have a specific opinion, but I do remember he was eating a falafel pita in one.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Yeah. So, I mean, I totally agree. We used to eat at all of our networking events. Remember those days?
Yeah, I know. Like right now I'm starving because I've been running around all day, and like I'm not going to eat right now. Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's so
even though it's a live, like, or just a Zoom networking, like I don't like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I've got to turn my camera off if I'm going to eat, generally speaking, unless it's like peanuts or something that you just like pop in your mouth.
Well, it's so hard because you can't eat something greasy because then you're going to get grease on your computer, and you can't eat something messy. And one time I turned off my camera so I could eat, and then someone said, "Where'd Jean go? We lost Jean." And I'm like, "No, you didn't. I'm right here." Just
It's what happens when it's so event. That's why I always tell people when I am eating, so that they don't ask what I'm doing or where I went.
Oh, that's a good idea. I should just do that. I should have just ordered a glass of wine in there. It'd probably be warmer by now.
I mean, I'm certain you would be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I am really glad that we got to do this, even though I know that it does mean you are sitting outside in December. But I really appreciate you having me on your live.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about so much more. We could always just do a part 2.
Yeah, I'm happy to do a part 2.
I could be at a Panera and sit next to the fire.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my gosh, I might have to go light a fire downstairs.
No, seriously, Sarah, I want to do a part 2 because A, you're hilarious and I love talking to you, and B, we need to talk more about networking because I think it's really useful. Like the events that I don't know if anybody has noticed, but the events that I try to do in December with the series are more towards the beginning of starting your business and things to think about. Like excuse me, Brad McConnell is a business lawyer, and he was talking about setting up a corporation or P.L.L.C. and all that stuff, which is one of the first things you got to do. And then last week I had on Carlin Ankrum, who talked about the importance of social media in your overall marketing strategy, which is another thing to think about from the beginning. Don't think about it like 6 years later. And then now networking. I mean, networking is really something that you should have been doing before you even started your business, but not everybody does it. I mean, like these are like the fundamentals. And then next week I have somebody on talking about HR and hiring and all that stuff. And then I have so many people that I wanted to have on. We're actually continuing this into January. We're going to have an accountant. We're going to have the person who's actually redesigning my website, talking about the importance of the website and all that stuff. But I tried to do the fundamental stuff in the beginning, which, networking really is. And it's so important. And I feel really bad about cutting you off, and I want to keep talking. So.
Oh, no, it's totally fine. And Jean, I totally agree with you on that. Networking is something people ask all the time, like, what's the right time to join a networking organization? And even if you're not going to join an organization, although I do like the idea of joining just because it makes you show up, like, differently. Also, usually you get free access to the events, so it makes more sense to just like you're paying the same either way. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Network. One of the first things you should do is networking. Like, even if you haven't set up your bank account or haven't set up your LLC, although you shouldn't be taking money if you haven't set up your LLC or your bank account. But if you haven't like actually officially launched, even if you're in pre-launch, you should still be networking. It's so important. It helps you so much, and it actually saves you a ton of money long term, because you have people that who can help you do something, and you rely on their referrals. Like Jean, and I know Jean, I trust Jean. If Jean's going to refer me to an intellectual property attorney, then I'm going to trust her referral, because she's going to be someone who, she's not going to refer me to someone who's going to charge me something ridiculous, and she's not going to refer me to somebody who isn't good. So I think that's another really important thing to keep in mind as you're building out businesses.
Yeah, that's true. It's not just about getting clients. It's about making relationships, and even if you don't get a client or a referral from anybody in that group, you meet people who could help you with business questions, because we're all at different stages in our business. And, some people have experienced things that others haven't, or, you might mention something casually. I don't know what to do about that. But somebody's been through it before. So, the more people the better everybody is, and everybody can benefit from what everybody brings to the table, because things, people, tips that I don't know, and I know things, people, and tips that you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you don't only have like 5 people that you have a whole community of people that want you to succeed, and that are going to help you, provide you with resources.
Exactly. Well, that's a great way to end. I could keep talking, but we are going to do a part 2. Promise?
Yes. And can I just say we have a free summit that's coming up that is about community building. So if you're interested in learning more about community, is it okay if I plug this?
Of course. Okay. No, Sarah, you can't talk about District Bliss when we're talking about District Bliss.
Well, it's free, so I feel okay doing it. I'm not selling it. I'm going to go. Yeah, it should be so much fun. I'm really excited about it. It's my first ever summit, which is why I'm so excited. And we have amazing presenters. So it's going to be a blast, and it's super content heavy. So it's free, and it is from January 25th through the 29th, 5 days of packed 20 plus experts, panels, presentations. It's going to be awesome. Tons of bonus events, and you can grab your free ticket. I said free like 100 times. So if you missed that, it's free. Free. It's districtbliss.com/summit.
I'll type it right in here.
districtbliss.com/summit.
Okay. For your free. Okay.
And it should be just so cool. I'm really, really excited. We've been doing Instagram takeovers. We've been doing a bunch of like speaker previews for their presentations, and everyone is so lovely and they're so brilliant. I'm really, really excited about this, if you can't tell. And it's all about building a community so that you can build a better brand.
Awesome. Building a community to build a better brand.
Yeah.
I will be at the summit. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you so much, Sara, for joining me today. And everybody stay tuned for part 2 when I'm going to be inside. But you never know. This is Virginia weather, so it could be 70 degrees next time we do this. Anyway, thank you so much, Sara. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Merry Christmas. Happy Festivus. Happy holidays.
You too. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of I hope you get some time off to relax, period.
I'll try.
All right, lady, go get warm. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.